Hey everybody, this is Carl Tucker with FYI Reviews and How-Tos, and today we're going to be changing the water pump on this 2006 Dodge Charger Daytona RT. Now, as some of you have followed my channel, you know I've done some work on the water pump in the past on this car, and that's because the previous owner, they had put a new water pump on it, but they had messed up the seal when they mounted the water pump, and I replaced that seal. With now, a little more than a year later, time to replace the water pump. Water pumps went bad on it, so stay tuned and we'll be right back. Please hit that like button, please hit that subscribe, and support my channel, and hit that bell button so you know every time I load up a new video, guys. I got a rooster that thinks it's morning time. Be right back. Guys, first thing we got to do is we've got to drain our radiator. If not, we're going to have a huge mess. So let's get up under the car and I'll show you where the drain valve is. Guys, our drain plug, this is our drain plug right here. And we just took it out from right over there on the passenger side of the radiator. And so we got the antifreeze draining right now, and draining into a clean bucket. And if you spill any of it, you know, make sure you wipe it up, clean it up, because if you got dogs around, they love to taste this stuff, and they'll kill them deader than a doornail. But so while we got that draining, we got some other stuff to do. Be right back. Now, while that's draining underneath there, it's a good thing. Go ahead and take your radiator cap off. Kind of puts air in the system, kind of helps it to drain a little better. And next thing we're going to do is we're going to remove these clamps, and sometimes they can be a bit of a pain to remove, especially when you're dealing with a camera here. But a pair of channel locks, well, that whole thing had to turn, so I get a little pair of pliers here. Channel locks and pliers, mechanic's best friends. And vice grips too. Alright, we're just going to slide that off there for right now. And you see how this hose is kind of stuck? Well, there's a way of taking care of that. Well, actually a couple ways. The way I prefer to try right now is just to do this. Kind of wiggle it back and forth, see if we can't get it broke loose. I'm not too worried about damaging this hose because, like I said, I'm replacing it anyway. Alright, there, that one's off. The one that's hard to get to is back under here, and it's back up under your the edge of this, right in front of your radiator, in other words. And it's kind of a pain to get to, so I'm going to try to see if I can get around here and get to it. It's tucked way down in there. And there she is. Just a little old short hose. That's it. We'll take the clamps off there later and get it all taken care of. Alrighty. I think I'll go ahead and take this thermostat housing off while it's still here on mounted on the car. Might be a little bit easier to break those bolts loose. Alright guys, we're going to go ahead and remove this thermostat housing. It's taking a 1/2 inch socket and well, I said a 1/2 inch. Whoa, there we go. Go ahead and break it loose. Now normally when I change these water pumps, I would put a new thermostat in it, but this thermostat's about a week old. And then after we bought it, put it on, the water pump started leaking. So hopefully I'll be able to put it back on and hopefully it'll seal back up. If not, I just have to go buy a new one. So like I said, 1/2 inch socket is all it is. Take our bolts out. Voila, there goes our thermostat right there. Alright, next thing we're going to do is we're going to remove this serpentine belt, and very simple procedure. Let me get my ratchet and we'll get at it. Alright guys, what we got to do is we've got to turn our belt tensioner. Now I have a ratchet that extends like so, makes it a little bit easier to take care of, and just got to put it in the slot down here. Let's see, turn it. Kind of hard to see the slot, and well, and the way we're going to do this, as soon as I can find it. The way we're going to do this is we're going to push our handle toward the driver's side of the car, and that will loosen our belt up enough that we can slip it off around the alternator over here. And then we just slightly let it off. That's all there is to it, guys. And the belt is off, and we can kind of move it out of the way. Okay, now we're going to start working on the old water pump itself, and let me see if I can reposition my camera. Now, when you're working with this water pump, guys, there's a lot of hidden bolts in there, and if you're not sure where the bolts are, take your new water pump and orient it in the same fashion or in the same direction as your old one, the way it's set. Then you can take your water pump, your new one, set it right up here on the intake, out of the way where it don't fall. And as we take the bolts off, we're going to put them in the corresponding holes on that water pump. That way, because these bolts are different sizes and are different lengths. I think some of them are. So anyway, we will not get our, I may wind up laying that thing on the ground, but we won't get our bolts mixed up. So we take a bolt out of the top, put it in the top over here, and easy thing, easy peasy. All right, guys, these are going to be 1/2-inch bolts right here, and I'm kind of working around this camera, so it's a little bit awkward. All I'm doing is breaking these bolts loose, and I've got an air ratchet that I'm going to put on them once I get them broke loose, so that I can just won't take so much time for me to get them off there. And let's see. Got that one, we got that one. The next one is going to be way down here on the bottom. And there's one just below this thermostat housing right here. Boy, last time I put them things on, I put them on pretty tight. Okay, we got that one. Just keep right on going here. Boy, there sure is a bunch of them. And there's one down here below this. So a lot of this stuff you're just feeling around and trying to find it. Wow, look at that. You know what? No. Take that off there yet. Oh, great. Just drop your tools. Now, I don't know if y'all can see where my wrench is at. There's a bolt that's underneath this little pulley behind it here. And it's kind of a pain to get to, but we got it broke loose. And again, if you don't know where these bolts are, simply look at your new water pump, and you can kind of get some guidance on it. And move my light out of the way here. Move it back a little bit more. And so by looking at my new water pump, I can tell that there's a bolt that's right below this main pulley here. So reaching under to kind of feel it, and I can feel it down there. Whether or not I can get to it. They don't make it easy to work on these things, that's for sure. I'm using my finger to kind of guide my socket. I'm kind of on the bolt now. There we go, got it broke loose right there. That's the one just below that main pulley. And now, move the light again. Let's see. There's one right below this tensioner. And what I'm going to have to do is go ahead and just take this tensioner off of here. Because it looks like it's going to be in the way of that bolt. I don't know what size. I cannot really see what size bolt that is. Maybe it's a 1/2 inch. I do not know. be. Bigger than a half inch. Be right back. Alright guys, this is going to be a 15 millimeter to remove this belt tensioner. And I'm just going to go ahead and take it all the way out. I ain't got bolts on. And it is come out of there. Alright, and there we are. Alright, now we're going to continue removing these bolts for the water pump using our 1/2 inch socket and finding where our bolts are. Where did that bolt go? There's one way down here on the bottom. As soon as I can get my eyes focused, I can get to it. I guess one we already loosened. I'm going to double check it. Hey, good. Don't fall on my head. Yeah, that's the one we already loosened right there, so shouldn't be further over. Should have another one. Over here, right below. It's going to be right below where we took that belt tensioner off. And you got to drop the tools about 10 times before you can do anything, or else you're not a mechanic. Alright guys, we're ready to start. I'm going to use my air ratchet to finish removing these bolts. And I've got my new water pump sitting here in the chair right beside me. It's in the same orientation as the old one that's on there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take, and as I remove each bolt, I'm going to put it in the corresponding hole on the new one. And that way, let's turn this thing around so we can loosen this. It's going to be a little loud, guys. God, I love that ratchet. Anyway, taking the bolt out right here, and I'm putting the same corresponding hole right over here on the new one. Right there it is. That way I don't get my holes mixed up. So I'm going to go ahead and finish, take these bolts off here, and I'll show you what it looks like when we pull the pump off. Alright guys, we're getting our last bolt out right here, and I hope you guys have as much fun getting these bolts out as what I did. Another bolt we had to take out was this one right here for this pipe right here that I think it was a 3/32, and so as you can see, our water pump is practically falling off here, and give it a little bit of support. Okay, come on over here. As as you can see, we've taken the bolts and we put them in the corresponding holes here on our new water pump so that we don't get them mixed up. And we had to take this center stud and everything out on the old one. I think it was, let me see what size that was. No, that wasn't it. It was a 15 millimeter to take that out. And I'm glad the whole stud come out instead of just a nut. But there we go. And so now let's clear everything out of the way, and we can pull this water pump off. All right, it's practically falling off. We'll lift this up out of the way. We're just gonna kind of wiggle it out, and there we go. And I want to look and see. I want to take a good look at all this stuff because I think it was leaking right around the pump. Seems like it's in pretty decent shape, actually. Not sure where that thing was leaking at. This pump doesn't look like it has a weep hole. So we're going to investigate here and really take a good look to find out where that thing was leaking at. It may have very well been leaking around that old seal. I do not know, but we're going to look and find out, and we'll be back. Pause it. All right, guys, what we're doing now is we're taking our pulley here from our old pump, and we got to put it on this new one, and make sure I've got that oriented right. Yeah. And that way we'll be able to put our belt stuff back on. And put it on there till she bottoms out, and then give her a good cranking. Right. And that is on there. The next thing we got to do is we've got to well, I guess it'd be best. No, we'll put the belt tension on after we get it on. Is to flip it upside down here, and we're going to put our seal on. And very important that you get the seal in there right and get it in there good. I hate it when they come wadded up like this, because then it's usually kind of a pain in the butt to get it oriented right. And here we go. I think we got her going here. Oh, flip it the other way. Am I right? Am I right? I think I'm right. Like that. And so this is kind of meticulous, but it's really important that we get that thing down there and locked into place. And I don't really like this seal that much, to tell you the truth. And it's important that when you're putting this seal, putting a water pump on, that you make sure this seal does not come out of these grooves right here. So, and they have little humps on the seal that help it to stay in place, and that's just until you get it on. And it's just like that, guys. And you just want to make sure it's pushed all the way down. See, there's a high spot over there, and you just want to make sure it's pushed all the way down, all over. I like to take and kind of run my finger over it, get it all locked down into place, and voila, it's on there. And that's the way it should look, guys. And you can pause it. The next thing you need to do is we need to clean this. Oh, you got it? Are you using it on?
Yeah.
All right, guys. Next thing we need to do is clean the engine block off, or clean all this off where your water pump is going to go. And make sure it's cleaned off real good. We don't have any debris around where this seal is going to go. And everything looks pretty clean right there, but except for up here. A good wire brush will take care of this stuff. And I'm gonna go get a wire brush and get her cleaned off, and then we'll get back to putting this thing back on. All right, guys, we are ready to put the new pump back on. And what I've done, I've transferred all my bolts over to the old water pump right here, and I've got it set here oriented in the manner that the new pump's going to go on. So it's a simple matter of just taking the bolt out of here, putting it in the corresponding hole on the new pump right here. So we're going to start with the two top bolts. Well, let's get this bolt right here. This is the very first one we're going to start with, and we've got to get down in here, and we've got to get this little O-ring, and I'm going to wet it a little bit so that, and it has got to go into this hole right here. So I'm going to kind of wet that up a little bit, and we got to go down under there. And the last thing we want to do is drop this pump. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to go ahead and stick this first bolt in, get it in there, starting with a few threads here. And I'll tell you what, we're not going to worry about that until I get this thing bolted in. And that would be better. And then here's our second bolt right here. Getting these two top ones in, the easiest ones, getting them in will help us to get everything else in line. Okay, something's holding me off here. What's holding me off? Okay. Something's holding that pump off right there. The pump is not going on there flush. So let me pull this one back out. Where'd pause it for a second, CJ.
All right.
Are you going?
Mm-hmm.
All right, guys, we're just running these bolts down on here. We're not going to tighten them up, and we got quite a few of them to go around. I'm just, like I said, I'm not tightening these bolts up. I'm just getting them down there so that that gasket underneath does not move around, and then we'll once we get them all on there, I'm just getting it down there to where the gasket is touching against the block of the motor, so we know it's not going to come out of place here. And I'm going to go ahead and do that with all the bolts, just going around, and then I'll show you the pattern we're going to use to tighten the bolts down. You can pause it, CJ.
Yeah.
All right, guys. I've got all my bolts started in on the new water pump, but I'm just going to show you on this old one. To get the water pump down flush, sealed flush against the engine, here's the pattern I'm going to use. I'll start with this one right here. I torque it about halfway down, and then go to this one here. And I'm basically just going to use a cross pattern here, here, and then here, and here, here, and here. And I'm going to torque them about halfway down, and then I'll go back over it again and finish torquing them. I don't know what the torque specs are supposed to be. I'm going to use my calibrated elbow. The most important thing is don't over tighten these things, because if you do, you're going to really have a problem. So I just kind of go by feel, and with that seal, being in rubber seal, that'll be just fine. But using a cross pattern is what I'm going to use to finish tightening this down. Then once we get that done, we're going to put our pulley wheel back on right here, and then it's just a matter of putting sealing this tube back down, putting your belt back on belt tensioner back on, just in the reverse order that you did when you took it off. And so guys, does this video help you out? This is Carl Tucker with FYI Reviews and How-Tos. And please hit that subscribe button. Please hit that like button, and hit that bell button if you want to see all the videos I upload. I hope you guys have as much fun taking these bolts in and out as what I did. Because those bottom bolts on this water pump is a bit of a problem, but nothing you can't handle. Make sure that you use the cross pattern when you're putting the new water pump back on. By all means, do not over tighten. It's better to have a leak a little bit than to over tighten this thing. So if you do have a leak, you can torque it just a little bit, but don't over tighten these things. You're putting these bolts through into aluminum, so do not over tighten them. Okay, that's the biggest thing. Till next time, this is Carl Tucker, FYI Reviews and How-Tos. Guys, see you later. Bye.